The Trump team has a few different explanations slash evasions on the topic of the New York Times reporting around Trump's tax burden, which isn't much of a burden, it turns out, with him paying something like $750, about an iPhone a year in federal income taxes. But I want to show you what it looks like in real time as representatives of the Trump administration are trying to spin this in their favor. White House Deputy Press Secretary Brian Morgenstern was on with Poppy Harlow, and we're gonna show you a couple of videos from that interaction. Take a look at this.
The president said last night the New York Times reporting is completely false. So what is true? Brian, how much did the president pay in federal income tax in 2016 and 2017?
Well, Poppy, both the president and his attorney have disputed it, saying he's paid millions of dollars in taxes. I saw an earlier report from today that from 05 to 07, he paid $70 million in taxes. So quite a lot. He's donated his presidential salary, which for his term would be $1.5 million in taxes that he didn't even have to pay. But the New York Times has reported basically the same thing 4 years ago on the eve of a debate. The Democrats had ads up and running within minutes of this coming out, which means it's probably a coordinated political smear. But the president has paid lots of taxes, but the point is that why would anybody pay more than they owe? He wants everybody to have low taxes. That's why he cut taxes. But an interesting question would be, where are the taxes that Hunter Biden paid on his $3.5 million from Russia?
So much
what about his $1 billion from Moscow?
Brian, I'm so glad we have you, and we got lots of time, so we don't have to talk over each other. But you speak for the president, so we're going to stick on that topic. I'm talking about federal income taxes, and in the absence of the president releasing them, which is unprecedented for modern presidents, I'm going to go with the New York Times reporting because there's no reason not to believe it. Okay, so going with their detailed reporting, that is very different. I'm just going to finish the question. It's very different than 4 years ago. This is new reporting. In the absence of that, what is true? How much federal income tax did the president pay in 2016 and 2017? That's all I'm looking for is a number.
The president's attorney stated it was millions of dollars in taxes, but he didn't even have a chance to review. He didn't even have a chance to review the documents that the New York Times is basing it on.
Okay, so this is actually pretty amazing because as we talked about yesterday, the claim is that he paid $750 in federal income taxes in 2016, the same in 2017. There were years before with zero, but as I said yesterday, 750 is sort of more insulting than zero. And so they come back and say, well, he paid some taxes, but what did he pay in federal income taxes? They won't refute it. Even though there are a couple of different ways that they could do that. They could literally make the documentation available. They won't do that. So that is all the proof I need to know that the claim is true. But the thing is too, Trump and his people lie constantly. Like they are constantly lying, and they clearly have no intent of those documents ever willingly being submitted. But in this case, they won't even specifically lie and say he paid more in federal income taxes. You notice that? They'll lie about everything, but in this, they apparently are very worried that that information is verifiable, reliable, and that it's available. So they don't want to go on the record as in lying in this very specific way. They're doing sort of tangential evasion tactics and things like that, rather than actually disputing the specific claim here.
I mean, that's what gaslighters do, right? They know what kind of lies they can get away with. My favorite thing that Brian Morgenstern said was, why would anyone pay more than they had? And this is how the Trump the Trump people are going to take this. They're going to be like, he's a smart business guy. He was able to, pay less taxes. He knows what he's doing. They're going to see this as a plus. They're going to see this as somebody who knows how to navigate the system. And this is what's disgusting, because here's a guy who's a scam artist, scammed his way out of the Vietnam War, scamming his way out of taxes, scamming the American people, and they're just eating it up. And it's mind-boggling.
I do think that some, like if you're putting on the hat, if you're going to the rally, you're going to be down for whatever he's doing in terms of the taxes. But I think that there's got to be some people, considering how anti-swamp, anti-corruption so many Republicans at least like to imply that they are, and how much worse things have gotten economically for them. I get that some of them will sort of aspirationally think, okay, it's good that he can avoid taxes. I'd like to be able to avoid taxes. I think there's a lot of people like that. But many of them, I think, are then gonna think, wait, but I can't. I can't actually evade taxes. I just paid taxes a couple of months ago and this guy doesn't have to. That's gotta rub some people the wrong way. I don't know, when you look at the trash heap of news and scandals and crimes and all of that, quotes that we've gotten out of Trump over the past few years, where does this go into that trash heap? Is it near the top? Is it near the bottom? I don't know, but I think it could maybe get through to some. I don't know. That maybe that's just naivete at this point.
So what do you think, John? Do you think there is evasion? Do you think is this something that the IRS could come back at him for? I mean, obviously not during his presidency, probably, but is he going to get on the list of Wesley Snipes and Nick Cage and Willie Nelson, known as these like tax evaders? Is he going to be one of those celebs on that list? Because that's what he is, right?
I didn't know Nick Cage got in trouble for taxes, actually. That makes sense though. Yeah. No, look, I am very confident that Donald Trump will never spend a day in a jail cell. I am very confident about that. And I've made the, I think, very generous offer on the show in the past. Just get the hell out of the White House and your crimes are free. You can have them or whatever, because that's generally how the White House works. You commit war crimes, but then you just go away and we just pretend that it didn't happen. So I'm willing to continue that historical precedent. I do think he is going to face investigations for some of these things. I mean, the paying his kids as contractors when they're not contractors, there's something very fishy about that. The fact that he's claiming that at some of his properties from one year to the next, the operating expenses quintupled as a way to claim additional losses. I mean, there is clearly tax fraud written throughout these documents. Whether they'll be investigated and whether, if they're investigated, he'll face any charges, I don't think that that's likely to happen, but not because there isn't anything there. I mean, even just in this first New York Times story, there is clearly a lot of, I would say, a lot of actions that are beyond just normal tax tricks and those sorts of things.
I mean, absolutely. And it's the fact that they are, and this Morgenstern guy is trying to say, what about Hunter Biden? What about my neighbor? Like, why are we talking about this? This is the president of the United States. And like Poppy said, I thought she did a very, very good job with that, trying to keep control of this guy. All he has to do is release him. If it's wrong, then prove that it's wrong. But he won't, and we know why. And if his followers don't see that, it's just insanity. I really don't understand how. And part of me thinks, why even discuss it? What's the point? Because they don't care.
You know what? If this was just for fun, if this was just my hobby, I probably wouldn't. But it's my job, my obligation, my honor. Really, I do have to. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying why discuss it on the show. We do need to discuss the lies that are happening in this country constantly, and we need to address them. And Poppy's doing her job trying to get this guy. But I'm saying his people are not going to be swayed by this. And even the people you're talking about.
And look, and also I hope that, look, if there's a big conversation leading into maybe Joe Biden winning, maybe it inspires some sort of, next pass on the tax code to try to crack down a little bit on this. That's probably a naive hope again, but I would love that. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.